The Viking Age is one of the most fascinating periods of history. It spanned from the late 8th century to the mid-11th century and was a time of great exploration, expansion, and conflict. These seafaring raiders, who originated from Scandinavia during the Viking Age, were known for their ferocity, courage, and battle prowess, and used their skills to raid, conquer and build empires. The Viking warriors were primarily men who lived in the Nordic countries, including Norway, Denmark, and Sweden. They were a seafaring people who relied on their ships to travel vast distances to raid, trade, and explore new lands. The Vikings were not a homogeneous group, and they were made up of various clans and tribes. However, they shared a common language, culture, and religion. Feared and respected by their enemies, they were skilled fighters who used a variety of tactics to gain the upper hand in battle. They were also known for their fearlessness and willingness to die for their cause. The longship was one of the most advanced and innovative ships of its time. They were designed to be fast and maneuverable. The ship's shallow draft allowed navigation in waters only 1 meter deep, and permitted arbitrary beach landings, while its light weight enabled it to be carried over portages or used bottom-up for shelter in camps. Longships were also double-ended, the symmetrical bow and stern allowing the ship to reverse direction quickly without a turnaround. The Viking warriors were skilled in a variety of combat techniques. They were proficient in hand-to-hand combat, but they also used weapons to devastating effect. The Vikings were known for their use of the shield wall, a tactic where warriors would form a tight defensive formation with their shields overlapping. This provided them with protection from enemy projectiles and allowed them to advance on their enemies in a coordinated and disciplined manner. The Vikings were also adept at surprise attacks, using their superior knowledge of the terrain to launch sneak attacks on their enemies. They would often use boats to navigate inland rivers and launch surprise attacks on unsuspecting towns and villages. This tactic was particularly effective in the early days of the Viking Age when their enemies were caught off guard and unprepared for the Viking raiders. The Vikings used a wide variety of weapons, including swords, axes, spears, and bows. They were skilled blacksmiths who produced high-quality weapons that were both deadly and beautiful. The Viking sword was a work of art, with intricate designs etched into the blade and hilt. The Vikings also used axes, which were particularly effective in close combat. The famous Viking battle axe was a fearsome weapon that could cleave through armor and bone with ease. The Vikings also used spears, which were effective in both close combat and at range. They would hurl spears at their enemies from a distance before engaging them in close combat with swords and axes. The Viking bow was also a deadly weapon, with a range of up to 300 meters. The Vikings were skilled archers, and their ability to rain down arrows on their enemies was a significant advantage in battle. The Vikings also had a special type of warrior known as the berserker. These warriors were known for their ferocity and wild fighting style. They wore animal skins and were said to enter into a frenzied state before battle, which made them nearly invincible. They would howl like wild beasts, foam at the mouth, and gnaw the rims of their shields, according to belief. During these fits, they were immune to steel and fire, and made great havoc in the ranks of the enemy. When this fever abated, they were weak and tame. Death was an integral part of Viking culture, and the Vikings believed that dying in battle was the ultimate honor. Warriors who died in battle were believed to go to Valhalla, a great hall where they would be welcomed by the god Odin and would feast and fight for eternity. Viking warriors were buried with their weapons and other treasures, symbolizing their status and achievements. Archaeological discoveries of Viking burial sites have given us a glimpse into the lives of these warriors and the culture they lived in. The legacy of the Viking warriors lives on today, both in popular culture and in the archaeological record. The Vikings were skilled navigators who sailed across the Atlantic Ocean and established settlements in Iceland, Greenland, and North America. They were also successful traders, with a network that stretched from the Middle East to Russia. The Vikings' impact on European history was significant. They invaded and settled in many parts of Europe, including England, Scotland, and Ireland. The Viking Age was a time of great upheaval in Europe, and the Vikings played a significant role in shaping the continent's history.